Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. Thank you for stopping by my channel. I appreciate you all guys, whether you're new or you're coming back. And this will be a classic read, so I'll take a look at the Divine Feminine Collective Energy, Divine Masculine, and the Twinflame connection at this time. I'll also pull an oracle card for each of the twins with some focus, some guidance, and some food for thought. And then at the end, as usual, I will pull some cards for both of the twins with messages from my Hermit Tarot deck. Okay, so I just need actually one more for clarifiers and we'll get started. I did take a day off yesterday. I needed a day for myself. It was pretty bizarre in terms of the energies, so I decided to give myself that day. Give myself an opportunity to recover and get back to my usual self that I'm used to, my full vibe, full energy. And of course, like I was saying, just a reminder that this weekend I'm doing an 8-8 reading. This will be a connection spread and different than what I usually do. And yeah, we'll dive in depth into what this Lionsgate season means for both of the twins. All right, so let's get started. I have my Whispers of the Ocean Oracle with me. So let's pull a card for Divine Feminine first of all. Okay, we got two cards. Be insightful and established. Ground and rebalance your energy. Bring your awareness into the now, rather than allowing it to occupy the past or the future. An important card, and I feel like this was very relevant for me yesterday and even the day before. The other one is, and by the way, this is number 49, so it comes down to 13, which is a transformation. So once you rebalance and ground your energy, transformation is on the way. Look beyond the surface, number 37. Avoid becoming distracted by surface issues. Focus on the underlying motivation, cause, or beauty in a situation. Seek ways to bring depth to your world. Yeah, I think it actually resonates really well. So this is about living in the now. This is about looking into the heart of things, so to speak, or into the root of things, where you're focusing on the true nature of what's going on rather than some surface circumstances or issues or whatever things appear to be. And of course, in the twin flame journey, we have a lot of experience with that with our twin flame counterpart, because a lot of time, or most of the times actually, at least until you are fully in union, things may not appear as they are, and it's hard to turn that off, but it's important to be able to at least dissociate from what your brain is trying to tell you. Make some assumptions. What do we have for Divine Masculine? It's also a very beautiful card, that's coral reef. Just lovely. I was at the ocean, by the ocean, at the seaside, whatever you want to call it, just last week, and I still want to go back. By the way, if anyone's interested to see something from my trip, I can do a little video or maybe find a way to post a few pictures. Let me know. In the light of the moon, this is for the masculines. A full moon can shine light on what you have been resisting. This can be anything from your fears to your soul's beauty. So I would say it's almost mirroring energy, pretty much with DF and DM. For DM, it could be more like, if for DF I'm getting like the main difference that spoke more about the outside world, but of course it's still a reflection of your inner world. For DM, it's more directly, more specifically about their life, what they can do and cannot do, and the illusions they have about, or assumptions or perceptions about themselves. Okay, so if there are any DMs listening, you need to shine that light. either it's your fear or your talent or your beauty. You need to get to what is truly there, right? And at the very least, again, if you cannot, if it's not a simple matter and you cannot understand where you are, who you are, what's really there, at least don't take personally anything you see on the surface. And if you're sabotaging it yourself, if there's a negative self-talk, that's the first thing to work on. Because you won't be able to break through that until you consciously deal with it. With the fact that you are playing yourself, small, cutting yourself short, right? Because that will create a block for you to go further and, bloom beautifully. I have the Souls on Fire deck for the main read today. So let's see what's going on with Divine Feminine energy. The Wheel of Fortune for the feminine. Wow. It's also funny that there's a feminine holding it. It's almost like it's usually the divine timing, the divine intervention, but it's up to DF kind of to determine when the divine time is going to be. It's very interesting. For masculines, 8 of Pentacles, working hard. Yeah, especially because we're seeing these energies of illusion or certain dissatisfaction with how things are going. For the masculines, that's one of the main activities and streamlines that they go into the work, and there can be all kinds of communication around it, but that's the go-to thing for them since they're more 3D oriented. What's happening with the connection? King of Cups in reverse. Okay, let's pull some clarifiers. Bottom of the deck, Judgment. Again, with DM and DF. Beautiful. It's also interesting that the angel is kind of playing the trumpet and towards the DF. But that in turn gets Divine Masculine's attention. So I almost feel like the judgment process or the awakening process, right? Because judgment is that moment of the trumpet calls when you get that clarity, you get that insight. So Divine Feminine is rising to the occasion, is getting those insights, gets new understanding, and that impacts, it's kind of like a domino effect, impacts DM energetically. Please clarify the Wheel of Fortune for the feminines. I really want this to be, I will keep it 3 cards, but I'll keep it, that's fine. I'll try for this to be not a long reading. Please clarify 8 of Pentacles for the masculine. Please clarify King of Cups for the connection. Okay. Bottom of the deck, the Hermit. Yeah, so it could be that the twins are not communicating much this week. Maybe even if you are in communication for just, the circumstances played out in the way that for some reason you're not together, you don't meet up, or you don't have a usual conversation or whatever it is. But this is for a reason. Or it's just simply, this time and space that you have between one meeting and another, like this week, it's gonna be very well spent. It's like, when you have, if you compare it with school, like if our meetups would be the classes, then you have your homework in between to do. And a lot of times, students learn a lot more from that, amount of information and from practicing at home that they actually get in class. It's like the teacher sets the scene, but then they go on and they study by themselves, and that's where they get the most knowledge and the most understanding from. And I'm getting that that's similar for the twins. There was some sort of a trigger point during the meeting when you saw each other, when you spoke to each other. There could be messaging, right? There was some sort of trigger point, and now it triggered certain events, thoughts, energies, and the twins are now doing the homework of processing through those, which is beautiful. Okay, for the feminine we have the Wheel of Fortune clarified by the King of Swords, the Sun, and the Emperor. Those are some pretty strong energies. So yeah, I'm getting here that the divine feminine is living it to the divine now, to bring her happiness, to, you know, bring the necessary or the sufficient amount of authority for in her own life, and the ability to cut the BS and to stay in the truth no matter what, no matter how hard, how expensive the truth can be. And there is a trust here that it will all come in the divine timing, or at least you have as much of it as the, you know, the divine timing determines. But it's interesting that, because like I was saying, I noticed that the feminine is actually holding the wheel, that, and like it's also an understanding that for this particular phase or stretch of time, the feminine has direct impact on that. So it's almost like, as long as you're in alignment and you are doing what you're guided to do, whether it's, you know, work on yourself, it's your mission and service to others, maybe even your dynamic with your DM, as long as you follow the guidance, you know, that wheel is gonna keep turning. It's like seeing the direct impact on how we can influence that, although it is also a major arcana. Maybe that's the biggest learning even of this week. That's an interesting point. For the masculines, we have 8 of Pentacles and clarified by 9 of Wands. So yeah, like I was saying, you see fear, and then they go they go to work, they dive in. This is a bit of an avoidance, I would say, to face the music or to see things for what they are, partly because there's because divine masculines are doing their homework too, and they were triggered by something too in the last communication. So at this time they are processing it, but for them to process it, they cannot just, or most of them are not gonna, you know, do meditation or go to a therapy session, work through it. It's gonna be, you know, because it's a scary truth to face, it's gonna take some time, and it will be coming to their conscious mind anyways. So sooner or later they'll have to face it. But the first reaction a lot of times is fear, because it's triggering those fears, right, that are deep down. And their solution is go to work, make money, hustle, not focusing on kind of, you know, the nonsense or whatever is going on there in the energy, in the heart, in the head. It's just too much, too overwhelming, especially if it doesn't match their usual like status quo, what they thought their picture of happiness is, or what is important in life, or how they see divine feminine or their karmic partner, for example, right? Because divine feminine opened their eyes on something else. Okay, for the connection, we have the King of Cups in the reverse, clarified by Ace of Pentacles. And it's interesting, I never actually paid much attention to it, but there is this gate or this door kind of in the background, somewhere to the Garden of Eden, I'm getting for some reason. And I can see now that the energy of the connection is the twins feel safer with each other. They feel like they can be honest and they can share feelings and emotions. And that is actually not only, or like it may create a disturbance at first, it may seem like they're upended, right? But actually this will even enable some new ideas, some new projects, right? So it's like, you know, when the truth is born during the argument, or like the conflict brings change or development or evolution or whatever, it's that kind of idea. That sometimes the emotions we are embarrassed about or we don't necessarily want to face, those are the most powerful emotions that can drive change. And in this case, we even see the change in the physical, like actual change towards new ways of doing things, towards new projects, new opportunities, and maybe even new opportunities for the twins themselves. So not necessarily connected, like usually Pentacles are about resources, and a lot of times it's about your occupation, right? But this is this can be about, I'm getting this strongly, this can be about relationship as well. But this is something more tangible. It's almost like we get a new idea out of having different opinions, or a big discussion or debate, right? Or like sharing our differences, what they are on the subject. We are finding new creative ways to, I don't know, spend time together. Or each of us gets an idea of what new hobby they want to take up, or what kind of people they want to spend their time with, that sort of idea. And that's also pretty tangible, actually, because it, at the end of the day, that kind of creates your lifestyle and presents who you are to the world. And that's part of the Pentacle manifestation. The Pentacles are that energy that helps us present ourselves in the physical world. Okay, last but not least, messages for the twins. First messages from Divine Masculines. They're just jumping out. They're just jumping out. Anything else? Anything important? Oops. Okay, so we have I miss you, do you? That's why I started laughing. That divine, and that's actually another interesting aspect of that doing the homework mode, or not wanting to face certain things, that like at the same time, and that becomes even more confusing. Divine Masculines get that energy that they miss the DF. So on the one hand, it's like, okay, it's too much to handle right now. On the other hand, it's like, oh, I miss my DF, right? Because it's, you know, it's home, right? And you want to be safe, you want to be home when you are overwhelmed and have to deal with something unknown. If I ask you to stay, would you leave? So whatever was the last trigger that I mentioned at the beginning, it doesn't have to be an argument, of course. It was just maybe some thought, some information that DMs didn't expect to hear or to see, that triggered them and started them thinking, like, do they even care about me? It's that sort of energy even that I see. I just want space. Yeah, so I mentioned that already. I feel that it's relevant for both of the twins, actually. So if your DM is taking space, they're not as responsive, or they actually wrote to you something like, I need space, so I'm gonna be busy this week. First of all, yeah, that's actually, for a lot of them, that's gonna be the answer, because that's exactly what they plan to do, like distract themselves with work. But know that there is a deep meaning behind it, and it's important for them to have that space right now. So nothing personal, as always with the Twinflame journey, right? Messages from Divine Feminines to Divine Masculines. I apologize for the train, guys, but it's early morning where I am, and it's the most beautiful time to have the window open and get some fresh air in before the heat wave comes in. That's, yeah, it's not gonna be fun the next few days in New York. Okay, apologies, guys. So what do we have? We have I'm terrified. That's interesting. You make me want to do bad things. I'm getting also that the part of being terrified is because there's also, like, there was a trigger point for the DF, but there's also a strong attraction nevertheless. So maybe at first they thought like, okay, I'm done now. It's like, I can't take it anymore. And then, a little bit of time passes and it's like, yeah, but I still have this strong pull towards them, that sort of idea. And then we have, I still don't have all the answers, and think before you act. Yeah, so Divine Feminine is saying to DM that, none of us have figured it all out, right? So it's okay to be overwhelmed and to not know what comes next or what to do next, what's the right thing to do in whatever the situation is at hand. But just be, extra mindful not to rush into things, not to take action out of emotional reaction, bring some love into the situation, speak with clarity, act after you had some time to think, or at least to calm down and to balance yourself. It's actually interesting that for the feminines, a lot of times it's balance yourself, ground yourself. For the masculine, a lot of times it's think before you act, which actually, like, the very similar process happens in terms of balancing and grounding, but that's the way it's perceived to the masculine mind. So that's definitely the phrase that will work. Okay, I hope this has been good for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon. Bye, everyone.